6 fish older adults should never eat. The dangerous truth no one talks about. Growing older is a gift, a badge of honor that not everyone gets to wear. It's a stage of life where wisdom shines through, where the little things matter more, and where the choices we make carry even greater weight. We've spent decades learning, growing, loving, and the last thing we want is for hidden dangers to sneak in and steal the vibrant, fulfilling life we've worked so hard to build. But the truth is, some of those dangers don't come from outside. They come from our very own plates. Food is more than fuel, it's medicine, it's memory, it's comfort. And as we age, our bodies become a little less forgiving. Things we once brushed off without a second thought can now leave a deeper mark. Our hearts, our brains, our joints. They all lean on us to be smarter, to be more careful, to be more protective of the vessel that's carried us through so much. And yet, even among the foods we consider healthy, even among the ones we associate with strength and vitality, there are hidden threats that many people don't talk about enough. Seafood often sits high on the list of so-called healthy foods. It's praised for its omega-3s, its lean protein, its heart-healthy benefits. And for good reason, some fish can do wonders for the body and mind. But not all seafood is created equal. Some fish, especially certain larger and longer-living species, carry silent dangers that can be especially harmful to older adults. Toxins like mercury, industrial pollutants, and other contaminants build up in these fish over time. And when we eat them, they build up in us too. Slowly, quietly, sometimes without symptoms until it's too late. This isn't about fear. It's about power. It's about taking back control of what we put into our bodies and making choices that respect the years we've been blessed with. It's about understanding that being healthy isn't just about what we add to our plates. It's just as much about what we keep off them. Today, we're diving deep into 6 types of fish that older adults should avoid at all costs. 6 common names that too often slip under the radar, but have the potential to chip away at the vitality we've fought so hard to maintain. It's not always easy to hear that something we enjoy might be doing us harm, but the good news is, there are so many safer, nourishing alternatives that can keep us strong, sharp, and vibrant well into the future. So let's step into the wisdom that aging brings. Let's use what we've learned and what generations before us have known to protect our health, our happiness, and our precious years ahead. Because a long life should be a strong life, and every choice we make today is a step toward making sure it is. Number 1. Swordfish. The silent heavy metal threat. There's something about swordfish that feels almost mythical. That sharp, pointed bill, that powerful frame. It's easy to see why it's called the gladiator of the sea. It's strong, it's fast, it's bold. And when we see swordfish steaks laid out at the market or plated at a fancy restaurant, it feels like we're being offered a slice of that strength. But here's what most people don't realize. Sometimes the things that look the strongest on the outside are hiding the greatest dangers within. Swordfish isn't just big and impressive, it's also a magnet for mercury. A lot of it. Because swordfish are large, long-living predators, they sit high up on the ocean's food chain, and the higher up you go, the more toxins accumulate. Every small fish that swordfish eats brings a little more mercury into its body. By the time that swordfish ends up on your plate, it's carrying a lifetime of heavy metals, silently waiting to settle into your own body. Now, mercury isn't like a bad meal you can just walk off or sleep off. It's a toxin that lingers. It embeds itself deep into your brain tissue, your nervous system, your heart. And it does it quietly. A little tremor in the hands, a little confusion finding the right words, a little more exhaustion than usual. Easy to brush off, easy to blame on stress or age. But behind those symptoms, mercury could be working its slow, destructive magic. I remember visiting a retired Navy veteran a few years ago a man named Charles. Strong, proud, built like a tree trunk, even in his 70s. He told me about his love for swordfish, grilled with a little lemon and butter. It had been his go-to for years. Healthy, right. After all, wasn't fish supposed to be good for the heart and mind? But Charles started noticing changes, forgetting appointments, losing his train of thought mid-sentence, feeling dizzy when he bent over. His doctor initially chalked it up to getting older. But something didn't sit right with Charles. He pushed for more tests, deeper investigations, and guess what they found? Elevated mercury levels in his blood. When he eliminated swordfish and other high mercury fish and switched to safer options like salmon and sardines, his health started to turn around. It wasn't a miracle overnight cure, but it was real. The fog began to lift. His energy returned. His sharp, witty humor made its way back into his conversations. That's the thing about wisdom. It's not about waiting for disaster to strike. It's about seeing the warning signs early enough to steer your ship in a better direction. For older adults especially, avoiding swordfish is one of those wise, protective choices. There are so many delicious, nourishing fish options that don't come loaded with hidden heavy metals. You've worked too hard, lived through too much, and built too many memories to let something as silent and preventable as mercury steal your light. Swordfish might seem powerful, but true power lies in choosing what's best for you. Number 2, king mackerel. The risk that's not worth taking. Let's talk about names for a second. King mackerel. It sounds noble, doesn't it? Like it belongs in some royal court of seafood, standing tall among the other fish, proud and superior. But here's the truth. Not everything that wears a crown deserves your trust, especially not when your health and future are on the line. King mackerel is one of the worst offenders when it comes to mercury contamination. Like swordfish, it lives long and grows large, giving it plenty of time to soak up toxins from the waters it swims in. And the problem with mercury is that it doesn't stay in the ocean. It stays in us. When you eat king mackerel, you're not just taking in a flavorful fish. You're also inviting invisible, dangerous toxins into your body. Toxins that don't just pass through. They latch onto your brain, your heart, your kidneys. They quietly chip away at your strength, your memory, your stability. A few years ago, I sat down with a woman named Helen at a senior community potluck. She was sharp as a tack, lively, full of energy. She told me about her love for seafood and her belief in eating natural, real food, something she'd always prided herself on. But she had started experiencing dizzy spells, strange tingling in her fingers, and an overwhelming sense of fatigue she just couldn't shake. Helen was eating king mackerel almost twice a week, believing it was fueling her body with the healthy fats she needed. Nobody had told her about the mercury risks. Nobody had warned her that, for older adults, even low levels of chronic exposure could lead to real, lasting damage. When Helen cut out king mackerel and swapped in low-mercury fish like tilapia, wild salmon, and Atlantic mackerel, a different, much safer kind, the difference was stunning. Her dizzy spells faded, her energy returned. She felt like herself again, and that's the lesson here. Health isn't just about adding good things in. It's about keeping bad things out. King mackerel carries a risk that simply isn't worth it. Not when you have safer, heart-loving, brain-supporting choices that will nourish you without poisoning you. Slowly. You deserve food that honors your life, not shortens it. You deserve meals that lift you up, not weigh you down. Choosing wisely isn't a burden. It's a celebration of all the years you've lived and the ones still ahead. The world is full of incredible, safe fish, just waiting to be part of your journey. King mackerel, it's time to leave that one behind, for good. Number 3, tilefish, the toxic secret lurking in the deep. At first glance, tilefish sounds like something harmless, even pleasant. A simple, mild fish hiding in the deep waters of the Gulf and the Atlantic. It's not flashy. It's not famous. It quietly sits on seafood menus, often slipped into dishes where people barely notice it's there. But make no mistake, tilefish carries one of the ocean's deadliest secrets for older adults. And it's a secret you need to know. Tilefish is, without question, one of the most mercury-laden fish you can eat. In fact, some reports show it has mercury levels even higher than swordfish or king mackerel. And because it's less well known, it often flies under the radar. People choose it thinking it's a safe seafood option, unknowingly loading their bodies with one of the most dangerous contaminants known to science. Now, if you're younger and your body's detox systems are in peak condition, maybe you can fight off a little mercury exposure for a while. But as we age, the body doesn't clear toxins as efficiently. The liver slows down, the kidneys tire out, the natural barriers weaken. What once might have been manageable becomes a real threat. A threat to memory, to movement, to independence. Let me share a story. A gentleman I met, Mr. Reynolds, a retired engineer in his early 80s, lived a disciplined, structured life. He followed every health guideline to a T. But there was one blind spot: his love for a particular seafood stew he made every Sunday, loaded with tilefish. For years, he believed it was a wholesome, heart-healthy meal. No one had ever warned him otherwise. Little by little, Mr. Reynolds started having trouble keeping up with conversations. He'd lose track of thoughts, fumble with his car keys, feel unsteady getting out of bed. Doctors tested for dementia, heart disease, the usual suspects. But the real culprit was something few thought to ask about: his diet. By the time the mercury link was discovered, much of the damage had been done. The saddest part? It was avoidable. Completely avoidable. Tilefish simply isn't worth the risk, especially when safer, equally delicious options are at your fingertips. If you're craving that delicate, flaky texture, reach for cod, haddock, or even catfish, all far lower in mercury and far kinder to your hard-working body. We deserve better than hidden dangers. We deserve food that keeps our minds clear, our steps steady, and our golden years shining as brightly as they should. Tilefish may lurk quietly in the deep, but now you know its secret, and wisdom means walking away from it. Number 4, shark, the predators we shouldn't prey upon. There's something about sharks that commands respect. The strength, the agility, the fearlessness. In many cultures, sharks are symbols of power, of survival, of dominance over the wild. It's no wonder that for generations, eating shark meat was seen as a way of taking in that strength, as if by consuming the predator, we could borrow a piece of its invincibility. But here's the painful truth. When it comes to food, the predators of the sea are the last creatures we should be putting on our plates, especially as we age. Sharks sit at the absolute top of the food chain, which means they accumulate every toxin, every pollutant, every drop of mercury that passes through the ocean's ecosystem. They don't just have a little contamination. They carry some of the highest levels of mercury found in any seafood anywhere on the planet. Now think about what that means for an older adult. Our immune systems are already a little less sharp. Our detox pathways aren't running at full speed like they once did. Our nervous systems are more vulnerable. Adding the burden of mercury from shark meat is like tossing an anchor onto a ship already battling the tides. It drags us down, bit by bit, often without us even realizing it, until we're struggling just to stay afloat. I'll never forget the story of a man I met at a health retreat, a former big-game fisherman from Florida. Tough as nails, proud of the life he'd lived out on the water. He loved shark steaks, grilled, blackened, marinated, you name it. For years he saw it as a badge of honor, a tribute to the wildness he had conquered. But over time, his body started telling a different story. severe muscle weakness, tingling in his extremities, deep chronic fatigue. Doctors first suspected neurological diseases. Tests after tests came back inconclusive, until one specialist finally looked at his seafood-heavy diet and ran mercury tests. His levels were off the charts. It was a heartbreaking wake-up call. The very thing he believed had kept him strong had been quietly poisoning him for years. Culturally, I get it. For many of us, food is tied to tradition, to pride, to memory. But there's a deeper wisdom that whispers through those traditions too. A wisdom that tells us when it's time to adapt, to protect what matters most: our lives, our health, our future. Shark might symbolize power, but true power is knowing when to say no. Knowing when to choose a path that doesn't just honor our past, but safeguards our future. Instead of shark, go for lighter, safer options. Snapper, tilapia, and even certain kinds of flounder offer delicious, satisfying seafood experiences without the hidden cost. Because at the end of the day, strength isn't about what you put on your plate. It's about how you live your life, clear, strong, and unburdened by the silent poisons we now have the wisdom to avoid. Number 5. Orange roughy, the old man fish that ages you faster. Orange roughy. Even the name sounds inviting, doesn't it? Mild, delicate, tender. It's the kind of fish you might order without a second thought, expecting a light, wholesome meal. But what most people don't know is that this so-called gentle fish carries a hidden history, and it's a history that older adults especially can't afford to ignore. Orange roughy is often called the old man of the sea, and not just because of its taste or texture. These fish can live up to 150 years. Think about that. A century and a half swimming through the ocean, absorbing every pollutant, every toxin, every heavy metal that crosses its path. The longer a fish lives, the more toxins build up inside it. And when you eat it, you're not just enjoying a piece of fish, you're ingesting decades, even centuries of chemical accumulation. Mercury, again, is the main villain here. But it's not just mercury. Studies have found orange roughy loaded with other harmful substances like polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, which are industrial chemicals known to mess with hormones, damage the liver, and increase cancer risk. Imagine asking your hard-working body, already navigating the normal challenges of aging, to now deal with a flood of toxic burdens every time you sit down to eat. I met a woman once, Margaret, a spirited 76-year-old with a love for good food and good company. She had no idea that the orange roughy she ordered religiously, baked with a spritz of lemon and herbs, was slowly draining her energy. Over the years, she began feeling more sluggish. Her skin lost its glow. Her doctor said it was normal aging, but Margaret didn't feel like herself, and she trusted her instincts enough to keep digging. A sharp nutritionist finally caught the problem. "Do you eat orange roughy?" she asked. Margaret laughed and said, "Every week." That simple question changed everything. She eliminated orange roughy, swapped in safer options like wild-caught Alaskan salmon and Pacific cod, and within months, her vitality began to return. The truth is, some fish simply weren't meant to be on our plates. Not if we want to live fully, brightly, and energetically in our later years. Orange roughy might sound harmless, but it's one of the oldest, most toxin-laden fish out there. Choose fish that live shorter lives and swim cleaner waters. They offer the nourishment you need without dragging down the beautiful life you've built. Your body deserves food that lifts you up, not anchors that weigh you down. Number 6. Big-eye tuna, the deceptive giant. Tuna. It's a name we trust, right? The star of sandwiches, sushi rolls, and grilled summer steaks. It's marketed as a lean, protein-packed, brain-boosting superfood. And for the most part, tuna can be a smart choice. But here's where wisdom matters. Because not all tuna are created equal. And when it comes to big-eye tuna, The bigger the fish, the bigger the danger. Big-eye tuna are, as the name suggests, giants. They roam the deep, open waters of the oceans for years, growing larger and living longer than their smaller cousins. And just like with swordfish, tilefish, and shark, their size and lifespan mean they collect more mercury, more pollutants, more hidden threats that we end up swallowing, along with every juicy, seemingly healthy bite. Here's something critical. Big-eye tuna isn't the same as skipjack or yellowfin tuna, two species commonly used in canned tuna. Big-eye is mostly found in sushi, sashimi, and high-end steaks. That beautiful ruby red slice of sushi you're reaching for might seem like a small thing, but if it's big-eye, it could be a heavy, toxic burden for an aging body. I once had a conversation with a retired doctor, a man who had spent his career preaching the benefits of eating clean. He loved his sushi nights. He trusted that a diet rich in fish would protect his brain and heart. But he didn't realize that his favorite item, big-eye tuna sashimi, was silently undermining his health. Over time, he developed troubling symptoms: short-term memory loss, shaky hands, heart arrhythmias that forced him into early retirement from his volunteer work. It wasn't until a young dietitian at his clinic reviewed his eating habits that the connection became clear. Big-eye tuna was the common thread. He stopped eating it immediately, pivoted to safer, low-mercury fish choices, and slowly, his heart stabilized. His memory sharpened, his hands grew steadier. That's the thing about mercury damage. It's not always sudden, it's sneaky. And by the time it shows itself, it's already done more harm than we can see. For older adults, whose systems are already balancing on thinner lines, big-eye tuna is a gamble with odds that are simply not in your favor. Instead of big-eye, choose fish like sardines, wild-caught salmon, or smaller albacore tuna caught in certain regions. And even then, in moderation, you'll get the same protein, the same healthy fats, the same satisfaction, without carrying around a toxic load that drags you down. Wisdom is about seeing beyond the surface. It's about knowing that sometimes the big choice isn't the better one. In fact, when it comes to big-eye tuna, the smaller, smarter choice could mean the difference between a sluggish future and a vibrant one. Conclusion: honor your wisdom, protect your future. We've covered a lot today. 6 fish that many people never think twice about. 6 names that seem harmless, even healthy on the surface. But when you look closer, you see the truth hiding underneath. Swordfish, king mackerel, tilefish, shark, orange roughy, big-eye tuna. Each of them carries risks that grow heavier and more dangerous with every passing year, especially for those of us lucky enough to have reached the wise, seasoned years of life. This isn't just about fish. It's about respect. Respect for your body. Respect for the years you've lived and the ones still ahead. It's about understanding that every choice you make at the dinner table is a chance to honor your health, your memories, your future. And it's never too late to choose differently. The beauty of wisdom is that it gives us the courage to change. It gives us the strength to say, I know better now, so I'll do better now. It lets us step away from traditions that no longer serve us and into habits that support the life we still dream of living. Clear-headed, energized, strong, and deeply alive. The best part? You're not giving anything up by letting these dangerous fish go. You're gaining something. You're opening the door to seafood that is truly nourishing. Wild-caught salmon, sardines, trout, haddock, and so many others that offer all the benefits you want without the hidden costs you don't. You're choosing meals that fuel sharper memories, steadier steps, stronger hearts. You're choosing to live every day ahead with a little more clarity, a little more vitality, and a lot more gratitude for this beautiful life you've built. Because getting older isn't about slowing down. It's about living smarter. It's about holding your head a little higher, smiling a little wider, and knowing deep down that you are protecting the gift of your health with every bite you take. You've earned your wisdom. Now let it guide you. Eat well, live well, and keep shining brighter, stronger, and longer than ever before.